Okay, so now we're on to the third emotional need. So we have watch me, where your eyes are on the person, you're following them, and then you, if you can't see them, you go into a mental map where you follow them in your mind's eye. And then you're following each other, you're following yourself, what your interests are, you're now paying attention, and you are stepping into those interests, nurturing them, delighting in them, and making room in your life to enjoy those interests. And the third one here is called teach me. And teach me is pretty self-explanatory. This is where we do need our loved ones, our parents, to problem solve for us. We didn't know how to do something. So you come to them, you have you need a solution, you need to learn something, and they are stepping in and teaching you and being your coaches, so to speak, in all areas of your life. However, when we've been shamed, what happens is we are told things like, why do you ask such stupid questions? I remember being in school and having people say that to me, that that's stupid to ask that. Why do you ask stupid questions, things? And so I became so fearful of asking stupid questions, right? And other times people were told that they should know how to do something without ever being taught how to do it. And when that happens, you are given this message of what's wrong with me, that I don't know how to be skilled at this, at making a bed or at fixing something or knowing how to do math when I don't understand it. And we have neurodiversity too. So our brains are all different. With how we approach learning, and some things we'll learn really well and some things we won't learn really well. And so here you have adults who are noticing what your strengths and what your weaknesses are, and they're having appropriate expectations for you that when there is an area of weakness, they don't make it personal, that you are flawed, you're defective because it's an area of weakness. Instead, they look at how can we create a situation for success? What does this kid need? Do we need tutors? Do we need resources? Do we need to change the study environment? How can we set this kid up for success? And that's what we want. We want somebody who is going to mentor us, coach us, teach us, guide us in this loving, compassionate way. Now, as adults, we are doing emotional sobriety. So instead of looking at the outside to be safe and to teach us and to approach things like they should, wherever you feel vulnerable and you're looking at the outside to be attuned to you in that way, then we're unsober. And so instead, we want to pay attention that, gosh, this is an area I'm really struggling in. And so what do you do when you're struggling? You get resources, you get help. And there are appropriate places to get help. There are tutors, there are coaches, there are therapists, there are classes that you can take, YouTube videos you can watch. So instead of imposing on yourself that I should know this and forcing yourself to do something that you haven't been equipped with or mastered yet, we don't want to do that. Instead of doing that, we want to take the time to help ourselves get there. I'll never forget a time that my husband was trying to fix a plumbing thing in our bathroom, and he was getting really frustrated and, just kind of banging around and moaning. And I went up and what's wrong? And well, I can't fix this. And he was really wrestling. Time went on and I heard boom, 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 and rah, 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 and came up, you okay? Yeah. Do you need some help? No. And then all of a sudden it sounded like demolition was going on the wall, really moving. And my neighbor came over and I said, oh gosh, my husband's really having a challenge here. So he went in and he said, what's wrong, bud? And he goes, well, I can't fix this pipe. And he goes, oh, well, that's because you got to cut the drywall because thing is behind that. So he gets out his little knife and he cuts a little hole. And my husband's like, oh my gosh, you are my hero. How did you do that? I had no idea. So this is what we experience, that sometimes a solution could be so easy, but we make it hard because we're using a hammer on a screwdriver, or we're using a screw instead of a nail. It's just like, if the tool is broken, we need to change the tool, right? We need to get more equipped. We need more tools to our toolbox. So here we're having realistic expectations. We are reaching out, and when the inner critic inside goes, don't do that. You don't want people to know you're struggling. You don't want to. You should this and you should that. Just let that voice be. but let the adult in you lead and say, this is the proper, effective thing for us to do. We are going to ask for help. We're going to get the support and not try to white knuckle it anymore all by yourself. This is what a lot of people find in recovery, is that they don't want people to know that they've been struggling. And so they'll stop drinking or stop using or whatever their struggle is, but not seek that community to help them or those providers to help them because they are so ashamed and they just don't want anyone to see. But the paradox with healing is that the minute that you feel it, it releases it. The minute that you admit the weakness, you become strong. I heard someone say, the minute you can say, I'm a liar, you are now honest. So you can't become honest by denying the lies. And that's the paradox. It's so opposite, counterintuitive than what we think, but it is a true principle that we need to not run away from the thing that needs to be attended to, but move towards it, attend to it, and then the outcome and the results that you want, you will get. You will find peace by doing that versus trying to have peace by by addressing it. You're going to have more distress. What you resist persists. That's a general rule, a general principle. So here we need problem solving. So how was that for you? Did your parents problem solve with you? Did you have an environment and a community where people supported you in asking questions? They mentored you, they coached you, and you felt fully supported in that. That if you ever needed that help and those resources, there were people there that were available to do that with you. How is that for you? Or were you someone who had to fend for yourself? And if you asked, something bad happened and you got punished for not knowing, you were expected to know, but nobody ever taught you. How was that for you? If that's the case, if you were ridiculed, rejected, held to unreasonable expectations where you were expected to know things that you weren't taught, then this will be another emotional need that becomes your off switch that you take and you turn off. And you get mad, impatient with other people that ask you questions. This is where you have like a coworker that someone asks a question, they're like, oh, you don't know how to do that? And they go in and they're like, just being really hard on you. And they just don't know that that's a good thing to do. We much rather have someone ask for help and do that consultation than to try to do it on their own and mess up. So get help, access your resources, reach out. This is a good thing to do. So now we're going to go on to the next one.